Hi, this is Jim Jordan with Crave Vibrant Health, and today I want to go over part 4 of Inside a NES Scan. Today I'm going to cover, I think, 2 parts we're going to try to do: energetic immunity and something called the stars, energetic stars, which are compound formulas in the NES system. But before I get into reviewing a scan, the inside of a scan, I want to talk about a case that I came across recently and how, just to give you an idea how NES can help solve the root cause and contribute to the healing and resolution of a chronic health issue. So as we all know, modern medicine is great at certain things, treating symptoms and emergency, but it doesn't really address the root cause of a condition. So to really resolve a health issue, you have to go to the cause or the causes. The causes are going to be a combination of things. They're going to be environmental toxins, nutrient deficiencies, stresses, traumas, structural imbalances, a combination of many factors that the bioenergetic scan in NES will help you understand and see. So I had a client that came to me with a condition of a low platelet count. So platelets, of course, are needed for the blood to clot, and that can be a problem if you don't have enough platelets. It can be a problem if you have too many platelets. Her case, it was too low. So the doctors that she saw, with best intentions, gave her steroids and other drugs, trying to drive up the platelets. And she was bouncing around too high, too low, not getting a resolution. Bottom line is the condition was still there. And the reason is that it was not addressing the root cause or causes. So we do a scan for her. I reviewed the scan, and what do you know? There are a couple of factors that are related to low platelet counts in terms of the causes. Platelets are produced in the bone marrow, inside the bones. And in the scan, bone driver came up, which includes bone marrow. So basically an underpowered or toxic or congested bone marrow. And the second one that came up that was interesting was spleen driver. So the spleen, basically, with low platelets, a spleen can get sort of congested and not recycle the platelets. The spleen is used to recycle blood cells, red blood cells and platelets. And if it gets clogged up, then that's a problem. So there's something causing that. Deeper into the scan, we go to environmental toxins, and she has 3 major heavy metals identified as purple, high priority. And heavy metals can be stored in the bones and impair the bone marrow function. So we may have discovered the root cause of this low platelet count, but more important, we're discovering many different factors that can be used and unwound and gradually reversed to reestablish health, homeostasis, balance, bioenergetic function. And that is the objective, not just removing the symptom, you have to remove the cause. That's an example of a great result so far. I mean, it's just the assessment part, but my experience has been when you stick with NES, in my case, my health issues that were very severe were resolved. And with the clients of mine who stick with this, take some patience and persistence, will get a resolution. So the key is to be intelligent, consistent, patient, and persistent, and your health will improve. So let's now go to look at the scan. And we're going to go to, we're going to review my scan again. And again, you can see the name here is Jewel Baldwin. This is my partner's Zoom account. That's me, Jim Jordan, here doing the NES review. So energetic immunity. So immunity is a topic in sort of physiology we think of as related to white blood cells, lymphocytes. Those are that's the immune system. Actually, in the NES system, immunity is much broader. But in this case, energetic immunity, this screen relates to certain terrains. They're called energetic terrains, which are sort of territories of the body, bioenergetic, correlating to physiological territories that are in a healing mode. So there's different cycles in the NES system. There is the sort of damage conflict mode, where your body is being damaged by something, an infection, toxins, a trauma. And then there's a healing mode. So when purple scan items come up in the energetic immunity, that means these terrains are healing. And the infoceuticals that are recommended are going to send instructions to facilitate or optimize the healing function here. So we've got a bunch of terrains, 16 of them. I'm going to cover I might not cover all of them. I'm going to cover enough for you guys to get an idea of what this is about. ET0. Obviously, ET0 came in after ET1 was developed. So ET0, they decided to make a 0-1. And it's great that they have it. It's called central nervous system. This is basically healing. When ET0 comes up purple for you, it is the central nervous system is healing. The midbrain, the thalamus, auditory nerves, all this includes this. The terrain includes the terrain as the territory, includes the heart and the renal tubes of the kidneys. So central nervous system and myocardium. This is what is being healed when this terrain comes up. So the infoceutical is designed to support it. ET1, 2, and 3 are all general immune system terrains. My number 3 came up purple. This is the immune system, the bone marrow, and an overall immunity that was suppressed due to a trauma. So there's different causes behind these 1, 2s, and 3s: heavy metals, trauma, general infection. And trauma was the case. It could be a physical trauma. It could be an emotional trauma. So the immune system, of course, emotional factors tie deeply into the NES system. This is where energetic terrains tie into the mind-body screen, the New German medicine from Dr. Hammer. So basically, when there's a shock or a trauma, it will impair immune healing messages to the system, to the body, whether it's the lungs, the kidneys, the brain, the prostate, whatever it is, there is some impairment of healing responses from trauma. So that's how number 3 ties into that, a trauma. ET4 is central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So it's very closely related. It's to ET0. Number 5, broad spectrum viral, it stands for BSV, broad spectrum viral, relates a lot to the lungs and the skin. This is where, when this comes up, it came up for me, there is healing taking place in the lungs and the skin. And in my case, I know there is something with my skin for sure of having some breakouts going on. So there's a healing process taking place here. And the infoceutical is designed to send messages to support the healing process. Number 6 is cold, flus, and influenza. That's what it stands for, is more nose, throat, lungs, bronchi, also respiratory, also more in the nose and throat support. CFS is chronic fatigue syndrome. So this is broader. This includes, you can see the central nervous system, the thyroid, the liver, the pancreas. This is where the healing messages are going in ET7. ET8 is coating of the axons, the myelin sheath. Again, this is the nervous system, the myelin sheath. This is big for people. This is important. Stomach terrain is next. So that's up to the digestive tract. And then we have 3 liver ones, 1, 2, and 3. These are 3 liver terrains, include the intestines too. And one of these, no, this didn't come up for me. This was a orange. But liver and gastrointestinal tract is being healed here. So again, this is where the immune system needs to be activated to repair. There's a repair process going on when the ETs come up purple. So 3 liver. Fungus came up purple for me this time. So to give you an idea, these are the terrains, these are the territories the fungal terrain covers, which includes the brain neurons, the nasal passages, the bone, chest cavity, pancreas, intestines. So basically, in the NES system, they look at what Western medicine calls pathogens as actually not the primary cause. They're actually helpers. So for those of you who've tracked my philosophy of health, you'll know that your body has fungus, bacteria, all parasites even that are part of its natural terrain, which are in a homeostatic, a balanced situation. When you have an environmental toxin you're exposed to or a stressor, you might actually have some damage to tissue, in which case some of those bugs will start to help support breaking down the tissue. breaking down the tissue to help so you can actually build new tissue. So basically they're helpers in removing toxins, damaged tissue. And that's when you have fungal terrain come up. In my case, fungal terrain came up. It's that maybe the fungus has hung around too long after its usefulness. So we can have sort of an activation, like there's inflammation can get activated to support healing, but if it doesn't go away, then it impairs normal function. So it's sort of an imbalance. The messaging to the fungal organisms that are part of the healing process has been distorted. So fungal terrain is coming up to reestablish the correct communication. And in fact, it's interesting, before I even did my last scan, I predicted fungal terrain would come up because I just felt there was some fungal imbalance. You can tell when you're attuned to your body, something's off with the microbial balance. And it encouraged me to take the infusical, drink some Paudarco tea, cut back on carbohydrates, sort of de-escalate that terrain. And also ET14 came up right along with it, which is bacteria. Same thing there. The bacteria are helpers. They are supporting the healing process. So they're decomposers of tissue that needs to be restored. It's the same thing. So the terrain is really referring to, it's not that there is an infection per se, it is that there is an imbalance in the case of 13 and 14 with the fungal and bacterial organisms that are helpers in the system. So we're going to reestablish the microbiome in this case. And the microbiome can be a gut microbiome, it can be in the tissues, it can be anywhere in the body, it's not just in the gut. Reestablish that balance, and then the body can come into homeostasis. General terrain is when basically that can be tagged when there's some chronic condition and there's no real explanation of what is going on. Nothing else has really clicked and reversed the process. So sometimes 15 will come up as a general support for immunity. ET16 is really fascinating. ET16 is glial cells. Glial cells are helper cells to your brain neurons. They're very important. They actually are the origin of healing messages. So these cells are critical to healing in the body. The theory behind the NES theory is that the glial cells are the cells sending the healing messages. So if those cells themselves are not working properly, they won't send the healing messages. I've had glial cell come up several times in the last 2 years or so, and it's supporting the overall restoration of healing, and especially, actually, they do have a very important role in detoxification of the brain. It could be from toxic metals or chemicals. All kinds of things can affect that. 2 other scan items here that are actually ESs, which will lead us right into the next screen. Energetic stars are more complex remedies. They're actually combinations of drivers and integrators. Drivers back from the energy strength screen. The drivers like cell driver, circulation driver, stomach driver, sort of boosting the energy of those systems of the body. And the integrators, which are the meridians, which is the information network that communication takes place throughout the body field. So these stars are combinations, and this one, lymphatic, deals with the lymphatic system, of course, and specifically with the nervous system, how it affects the nervous system, spleen, thymus, bone marrow, all that, and especially how electromagnetic radiation is affecting the immune system. Autoimmune is basically related to when the immune system is getting incorrect messaging and is attacking the body. So this is to get correct messaging to help reestablish a correct balanced immune response. All these terrains, by the way, have very deep ties to emotional stresses and traumas, as I said earlier. So the terrains all have emotional and healing messages beyond physiology, but in certain terms of the emotional body as well. So that's really important to understand. With all the NES system, there's a strong component, strong tie-in to the mind-body screen. So in my case, these were there were four purple terrains that came up, and I took 2 remedies. 2 of these came up as high priorities, and that's my current program. I'm winding down on it. I've got another, maybe week left, I'd say, in the program. So let's go on to the next screen, which is energetic stars. So energetic stars can show up in different places in the scan. Lymphatic, we saw that just shows up in the energetic terrains. Triple cavity, I'll go over some of these. We'll tie into the energy strength because this is related to hormone and energy production. So again, these are combination formulas that deal with metabolic functions. Lymphatic system is the detoxification process and immunity. Memory and printer is the brain. It's considered, we talked about that in brain performance screen back under mind body. It's like the brain driver. It is like the primary energetic driver of the physical brain itself. Nerve star is the nervous system and also ties in very much to heavy metals affecting the nervous system, nerve damage. Triple cavity is hormonal balance. So energy basically moving between the 3 cavities, the cavity being the cranial, thoracic, abdominal cavity, having an energy movement to regulate hormonal function, regulate energy production. So if this is out of balance and this comes up, people that have a lot of fatigue often get triple cavity. Autoimmune, we talked about that in the previous energetic terrain screen. Circulation star is going to be related to plaque buildup in the blood vessels. So this is tagged, and this is always verified. I have people have lab tests or they have cardiovascular issues, ES6 comes up. I had a woman recently who's on blood pressure medication, and ES6 came up for her. So obviously it is sensing, the scan itself is sensing the energetic frequencies of all these different systems in your body and identifying which needs prioritization. Muscle star is related to the muscles, but also has a strong connection to neurotransmitters. So it's not just the muscles, it's also the brain. It's when people start to deteriorate mentally, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, muscle star will come up. And again, this is going to help unblock help detoxify and also unblock the emotional traumas that are impacting the central nervous system. Chill, we talked about that in the mind body screen. That is a sort of, it describes it. Chill is just relax. It's basically backed up with too much stress, cannot process all the stress and trauma. So we need to help move that stress and trauma nice and slowly. Audio and video, go back to the brain performance screen. We talked about those in terms of shock or trauma that has been heard, like a gunshot or an explosion or something, and seen visually, something you visually saw, an assault, something that was terrifying to be with your eyes that you saw. There's male here, and there should be female here. I did, well, male and female both belong here. That is the hormone imbalances for men, low testosterone. ES13 came up today for a client of mine, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. So this is basically a dysfunction, a communication problem in the mitochondria where the body is not producing ATP correctly. So this is a marvelous remedy to correct the utilization of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen to produce energy. Cell metabolism is detoxification of chemicals, specifically chemicals, cell metabolism, environmental toxins, PCPs, PCBs, DDT, chlorines, dioxins, all this stuff. Big problem. So it actually is a support. What if this comes up for a client, I'll recommend this normally with some binder, some citrus pectin or apple pectin, clay or something like that. So as you activate the detoxification, the toxins don't recirculate. You can just bind with them, flush them out to the kidneys, the bowels. or through your skin if you're doing saunas. Very important. And ES15 is similar to 14, but specifically for heavy metals. It'll come up when heavy metals are needed to be processed. And again, we will use a combination of this intraceutical with binders to make sure that the metals do not get restored, sucked back in the system. So energetic immunity and stars are the topics I wanted to cover today in the NES scan. Basically, what I want to say is this, is that the NES system is an incredible system, not just for identifying where to start working on your health issues, or if you're healthy already, where to identify where to put energy so you can maximize your health, optimize your health, prevent problems from developing. But it also has in the back end of this, of course, there are remedies that are second to none in terms of reestablishing correct information flow to the body field, to the nervous system, to the organs, to the immune system, to the digestive system. So it starts to work properly. It's like getting an upgrade in your software. So everything starts to work. So this is why with people like myself who used functional medicine to try to recover from serious health issues, we didn't succeed necessarily because we had the biological remedy, but we did not have the instructions. Like we had the hardware, but not the software to run the hardware. So this comes first almost, as in fact, if you did, my clients, if they did nothing else, no other supplements, nothing, just ate a good diet, I would prefer they take the correct infaceuticals than to pour in lots of nutrients and supplements, especially if you don't know what you need, then not addressing the information problem, the communication problem in the system, the body field. So that is today. I'll stop sharing here. Okay, so that is today what I wanted to cover. So the NES Bioenergetic scan, as you can see, has lots of information. Sometimes I think it's maybe too much, but often I'll give the highlights in the scan to my client and then let them go back into their portal and review the more details after a few days of digestion of the scan results, and then they can process that at their own rate. It takes a few days maybe to process that and to be ready to jump into transforming your health. So the NES Bioenergetic scan, the NES Bioenergetic infaceuticals, and the protocols that come with it are designed to transform your health. There's no purpose for this other than for you to have a new, basically establish the health that you've always wanted. And that's what it started to do for me 4 years ago. And I got into this after I was at that point, I've been 2 years into a very serious health crisis. And it started the process of me getting well. And I fell in love with the system. I've been using this with my clients, and I strongly recommend it to people to guide you, because it's not doing anything. It's just reading your own innate intelligence that's communicating to you. That's what I want to say. It's really more getting you in a dialogue with I would say your higher self, your part of yourself that is connected to the life force and the source energy. So you can start to unpack the combination of variables that have put you in the health struggle that you're in, or prevent a health struggle from arising. Even better. This is not for you people only when they're not feeling well. This is for people anytime that you want to have a preventative program. I think the best place to start is where the information gets distorted to begin with, in the energetic field. That's where it happens before it gets into the biology. So this is my part 4 of the NES Health Bioenergetic scan. I'm Jim Jordan with Create Vibrant Health. I'm going to put a link below to link to my website, NES Health page. If you have questions, you can email me, jim@createvibranthealth.com, or you can call my office at 541-482-2250. I'm happy to answer questions, and I'm happy to support you in your healing journey and your journey to optimal health. So it's Jim Jordan with Create Vibrant Health, wishing you a great day.